You know what's in your car's engine right now? Fuel, obviously. But for most of the 20th century, there was something else in there. Something that every scientist on the planet knew was deadly. Lead. For over 60 years, every car on Earth burned leaded gasoline. Every breath you took near a road contained lead particles. Every child who grew up near a highway inhaled lead. Every single day. And the company that made this happen knew it was poisonous from day one. They had internal memos. Their own workers were dying. And they sold it anyway, for 60 years, to the entire planet. To understand how, we go back to 1920. Thomas Midgley Jr., engineer at General Motors, arguably responsible for more human deaths than any other individual in history. Not through war, through chemistry and capitalism. And the irony? He didn't even mean to. 3 companies. 1 room. 1923. They took profit over your lungs. Got away with it for 60 years. Enjoy. 1920. America is booming. Cars are everywhere. General Motors wants a very large piece of that market. But there's a problem. Engine knock. That horrible metallic pinging that wastes power and destroys engines. Whoever solved knock would control the future of the automobile industry. GM gave the problem to their lab in Dayton, Ohio. Thomas Midgley tried hundreds of compounds. Then, on December 9th, 1921, found something that worked perfectly. Tetraethyl lead. Known since 1854. Known to be deadly since 1854. But Midgley wasn't looking for just any solution. He was specifically avoiding ethanol, regular alcohol, a perfect anti-knock fuel. Cheap, renewable, non-toxic. Problem, it was 1920. Prohibition had begun. And more importantly, ethanol couldn't be patented. Anyone could make it. GM couldn't own it. Tetraethyl lead, however, patentable, controllable, enormously profitable. Safe option, unpatentable. Poison option, patentable. Difficult choice. 30 seconds tops. By 1923, GM was selling leaded gasoline under the name Ethyl. Deliberately vague, friendly. Not lead gasoline, Ethyl. Like a grandmother's name. First tank sold February 1923. Thomas Midgley, the inventor, wasn't celebrating. He was in bed with severe lead poisoning. It got worse. October 1924, Standard Oil Refinery, New Jersey. Workers at the tetraethyl lead plant started going insane. Literally. Hallucinating. Screaming about insects. Running into walls. Attacking coworkers. 5 died. 35 permanently brain damaged. The workers had a name for the plant. Because the hallucinations. They saw butterflies. Before they lost their minds. The story exploded in the press. Loony gas. Public health experts demanded answers. So GM held a press conference. And Midgley, the man who personally suffered lead poisoning, poured tetraethyl lead on his hands, held it under his nose, inhaled, 60 seconds, to prove it was safe. He spent the next year recovering from lead poisoning. Again. Inventor. Poisoned before launch. Poured poison on hands at press conference. Poisoned again. Sold it anyway. This is the origin story. 1925. The U.S. Public Health Service called a conference to investigate leaded gasoline. Scientists testified. The conclusion was clear. Dangerous. Should be banned. But GM funded the research. GM controlled what could be published. GM required all government research be submitted to their scientists for approval before release. Scientists who said it was dangerous, dismissed as alarmists. Scientists who said it was safe, funded by GM. The government agency wanting to investigate, told to get data from the industry itself. GM, Standard Oil, and DuPont formed the Ethyl Gasoline Corporation. Sole purpose: manufacture tetraethyl lead and suppress any information about its dangers. GM's own research showed ethanol worked just as well. Non-toxic, renewable, cheap. Buried deliberately. The Surgeon General's 1926 report found no grounds to prohibit leaded gasoline. The man who ran that investigation previously worked for GM. Lead gas. Kids inhale it. 20 years later, crime wave. He also destroyed the ozone. Then his bed killed him. The universe has opinions. 1923 to 1986 in the United States. Longer in many other countries. Every car burned leaded gasoline. Every road, every city, every breath. At peak use, the average American had blood lead levels 5 times higher than today. Children near busy roads, 10 times higher. Lead damages the brain, especially in children, lowers IQ, causes aggression and impulsive behavior, permanent neurological damage. No safe level exists. Scientists knew this in 1854. Studies now show a direct correlation between leaded gasoline use by country and violent crime rates exactly 20 years later. The time it takes for lead-exposed children to grow into adults. A boardroom decision in 1923 created the crime wave of the 1970s. Thomas Midgley also invented CFCs, the chemicals that destroy the ozone layer. One man, 2 inventions. More impact on the atmosphere than any other organism in Earth's history. He died in 1944, strangled by a mechanical device he invented to help himself out of bed after polio. His own invention killed him. They tried to destroy him. Almost worked. He won anyway. Remember that. The man who ended leaded gasoline wasn't a politician or a regulator. He was a geochemist named Claire Patterson, just trying to measure the age of the Earth, working with lead isotopes to date ancient rock. But his measurements kept coming back contaminated. Lead was everywhere, in the air, in the water, in everything. He eventually realized 60 years of car exhaust. He published his findings. GM came after him, tried to get him fired, pressured his university, cut his funding, removed him from government panels, ran a campaign to destroy his reputation. Patterson didn't stop. Decades of fighting. In 1970, Clean Air Act. In 1973, EPA began phasing out leaded gasoline. In 1986, banned in the United States, 63 years after first sale. Blood lead levels dropped 75% in a decade. Crime rates fell 20 years later. Exactly. Leaded gasoline wasn't fully banned globally until 2021, 100 years after Midgley. When profit has no consequence, poison becomes policy. Remember his name. Nobody does. That's also the story. 3 corporations decided in 1923 that profit was more important than human health. They knew. Their workers were dying, their inventor was poisoned. They knew, and sold it anyway, to the entire planet, for 100 years. There was always a safer alternative, it just couldn't be patented. The scientists who warned them? Alarmists. The geochemist who proved the damage? Nearly destroyed. GM, Standard Oil, and DuPont never faced criminal charges, never paid meaningful compensation. The Ethyl Corporation existed until 2004, profitable until the end. Claire Patterson, the man who proved the world was poisoned and forced it to stop, died in 1995. The EPA credits him with saving hundreds of millions of lives. Next time, another company, another cover-up. Subscribe if you want to know who.